Okay, so let's go through the methodology, the possible ways to approach a target when you are using social engineering channel. Sorry. So um, there are different ways to conduct social engineering attacks, and they are split, as I said, into two categories: high tech and low tech hacking. So on high tech side, we have these things that are done over the electronic means of communication. Yeah, so phishing, spear phishing, vishing, and rogue Wi-Fi APs are all really purely high tech, I would say. Vishing and somehow related to live interaction because it's basically using voice, yeah. And the baiting is to some extent physical, but still within IT space, right? So let's go by one. Let's go through them one by one. Phishing is there is no typo here, right? You already know probably that hackers are using some sort of modifications to the words they use as terms. Yeah, so phishing is basically sending a lot of malicious or fraudulent emails to many email addresses in hope that even with a small success rate, someone will take the bait and respond back or click the link that is within the mail or open attachment and run the application or open a malicious attachment in a vulnerable program such as Adobe Acrobat or Microsoft Office Word or something. Yeah, so this is phishing. This is just spreading your threat at large amounts without actually focusing on a certain target. Okay, metaphorically, it's really close to phishing. I mean, phishing in the real world. Yeah, in a sense that you're just throwing it out and waiting until someone takes the bait. Okay, so that's it. What is spear phishing? The techniques are actually the same. Yeah, so in fact, it's absolutely the same from a technical standpoint. But uh, in this situation, you are much more narrow on choosing targets and much more broad on collecting information. So you will collect as much information about the person you are spear phishing as possible, yeah, and you will limit the target list to very specific, to very concrete individuals. Okay, so unlike normal phishing, yeah, normal spear phishing is taking this rifle and putting the mask on and going down and finding that big fish, yeah, that big fat fish that is a high profile target, and then shooting at it. Okay, this is the same. This is really similar. You are finding CEOs or CFOs or any people in the socially important points and nodes of organizational structure and at positions of trust and so on, and then organize attacks on them. Okay, so this is how it's different. It technically it looks the same way, but yeah, remember then we are doing all this stuff to the people who do not understand the bit of hacking. Everything we do looks relatively the same. Yeah, we're just sitting and staring at computer screen for money. Okay, and then vishing. What is vishing? Sometimes it's just voice phishing, and sometimes this term is used, which is not really popular. Hackers try to avoid that. So this is approaching a target on the phone and through impersonation or pretexting or whatever method you use, eliciting some information. Okay, so this is basically just trying to do this thing, but using the different medium. You could even try to manipulate target to open a link or open an attachment. If you know it's there and it's in a spam folder and you're calling and impersonating a fellow employee or a boss in a rival department or whatever. So this is really dependent on what information you already have about the organizational structure, organizational culture, and cultural constraints, and so on. But still, this is voice phishing. And what is baiting? Baiting is basically using physical tokens to do phishing, okay? Or spear phishing alike. So you are taking a USB thumb drive, for example, yeah, and putting some toolkit there. A poison tap, for example, by Semicomcar is very popular concept nowadays, yeah. So you're just arranging a target, arranging the situation in that your target finds it somewhere on a parking lot or in the office building or whatever, wherever, yeah. So you're just putting it there and just starting your CNC server somewhere and waiting for incoming connections. Okay, so that's what baiting is. It could take forms other than USB thumb drive, of course. It could be a poster with a QR code. Why not? It could be just a shortened URL on your window shield, on your windshield on your car. Yeah, so it's just people leave this information somewhere, and other people, for some mystical reasons, think that the information they obtain in the physical world deserves more trust than something they collect over email or phone. Okay, yeah, there is an explanation for that, because when we are dealing with the physical objects, we just have more our senses involved into this communication, and that's why physical contact is more trustworthy, just subconsciously. This thing also works. And what is rogue AP Wi-Fi and why it's not in the separate section we will have on Wi-Fi? Because it's purely social engineering. There is no high-tech hacking here, actually. So it's just raising an access point that looks like the target's one, yeah. So it's either have the same name or it has a popular name, like default SSIDs of vendor access points used by the client, or something like McDonald's or Lufthansa lobby or whatever. So it's just something that the most devices will automatically connect to once they have it in range, yeah. So that is like just luring the clients to your access point and then sniffing the information that they pass out to the internet. Okay, so we're done with high-tech methods. There are others, but these are the most prevalent, so let's focus on them in this video. What is low-tech? Low-tech hacking is, of course, the intrusion. Yeah, so it's passing physical perimeter, first of all. So this is the most effective, because if you show the evidence that you've been there, you've successfully entered the data center and were able to work with the server, with the critical server, like physically, like standing in front of it in the server room, that would be impressive. And this is much easier than it may look like. Okay, so once you start doing that, and once you have proper permission, you will be surprised to what extent people around you are actually willing to help you with zero trust established beforehand. Okay, especially in the Western cultures. Impersonation, identity theft, it's just masquerading as someone else. So as long as we collect all this open source information, we maybe at some point will find ourselves capable of impersonating a trustworthy figure in the target company. Okay, and then just pretend to be them, and and do the social engineering stuff. Yeah, there is a whole new class of malicious attacks that are called CEO fraud. This is the situation when presumably the CEO that is on vacation or on a business trip somewhere far away in a different time zone, sending out this email, not asking but ordering, yeah, so commanding the wire transfer to a specific account, and has a pretext in the form of like urgent investment opportunity or something else. So yeah, this is direct use of authority principle, the one that we will discuss a little bit later, in a business environment. And this is a really big issue. It generates losses in billions of dollars over the last 2.5 years. Okay, and this is just within the range of incidents reported. We are not aware of all of them. This is just a portion of incidents that had been reported by the victim companies to FBI. So the other thing, yeah, is tailgating, piggybacking. What it is, it's a specific type of intrusion that employs people's willingness to help. Yeah, so it's not going in and reaching the critical point. It's just performing this exercise of circumventing physical boundaries. Yeah, so it's just following authorized personnel through the checkpoints with or without asking for their help. Okay, so this is just, it is ordered a lot more than the complete intrusion exercise. So this is why I'm just putting it there as a separate method. Shoulder surfing, of course, is just figuring out what people are typing in on the keyboard by observing what they type, observing their hands, or just seeing what's going on their screens. Okay, so this is easily avoided, but it's really prevalent in public areas such as airport lobbies. Yeah, so you have to be really cautious about that yourself, because there is no effective way to prevent that other than just sitting your back to a non-transparent wall or something. Yeah, so but it's okay to stare at the person that is trying to stare at your screen. Yeah, and showing that come on, man, it's not okay to do that when I'm typing in my password. And the dumpster diving, it's here mostly for historical reasons. I try to give you these notions. I tried to do that before, and this is the case like that, just to show you that this thing evolves, and there are new methods every year, and the old ones become irrelevant. So dumpster diving is this thing that you might have seen in hacking movies, different movies about hackers, when they are taking these shoes on with really large bottoms, yeah, so in order not to hurt themselves, in trash containers, and then get in those trash containers in the night with the flashlights and try to find some important data on the printouts that have been just trashed out of the offices. Okay, that those days are gone. Not because this is not effective, because that is much easier, and there are cleaner ways to obtain the same information, right? So the last successful pretext I can give you that just comes to my mind is pretending to be this Go Green company that just arrives at your office and free of charge releases you from all this stash of paper you have at your printing areas. Okay, so yeah, there were organizational departments and that were willing to increase their company's karma by employing such external parties. But yeah, this is too risky to be allowed in your company, and you have to check out whether the clients are paying attention to what they pass through their physical perimeter, and whether they shred that, and first of all whether they allow others access that in open areas if it contains confidential information. But again, uh, just remember that everything that's left the client's offices, yeah, in this form of printouts, in most jurisdictions is open information. So this should be checked no matter what, if it's not strictly excluded from the scope.